Again, it's a red stick.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the C++ tutorial series on Neural 9. In today's video, we're going to talk about user input. So let us get right into it. Alright, so up until now, our programs were pretty static. We didn't have any user interaction. We didn't have any information from outside of the program code. Everything we did was hard-coded. Every value that we chose was hard-coded, and when we wanted to change something, we had to change the code and recompile it. And we're going to change this in today's video by introducing user input, by learning how to process user input. And you already know about the function stdcout, which takes some text and puts it out onto the screen. But there's also the function called cin, so stdcin, and it's the opposite thing. It gets something from the console and gets it into the program code, so to say. And let's say we just put out something like, please enter your name. And we're not going to do an end line here because we want the user to continue to put the text into the same line. Now what we can do is we can call the cin function, but since this function is getting something from the console window from the user and putting it into the program, this function is called cin, and also we need to use the arrows in the opposite direction. So in this case, we don't say cout and then we feed something into it. We say cin and extract something out of it. So in this case, we can put this into a variable, and let's create this variable by saying std string name, and then we say stdcin, the result shall be saved in name. And after that, we can go ahead and say your name is name, like that. So when we have this, we can go ahead, press F6, enter the name, let's say Neural 9, and you can see your name is Neural 9 in this case. So this is how you process user input. You just say cin, and whatever you get out of cin by pressing enter in the end, you save into the variable that you define. Now you can also do this with other data types. So if you now pass 10, it's going to be saved in a string. So it's going to be not 10 as a numerical value, but 10 like this as a string, just a text 10. But if I change this, for example, to, let's say, int age, and we say, please enter your age, and we want to see in the age, and then you say your age is age. This is now an integer. So whatever we put into this program is going to be considered an integer. We don't need to typecast it. It's going to be typecasted automatically. The cin function returns, or whatever we extract out of the cin function will be the data type that we need, in this case integer, of course. I'm not sure if this is going to work with all classes and objects and data types, but it works for int, it works for float, it works for strings and so on. So for the primitive data types, it seems to work, and we can look at it. Enter your age, 10, your age is 10, and to see that this is actually an integer and not just a string, you can go ahead and add 20 here to it, just to see what happens. And when we now enter 10, we get 30. And since we can calculate 10 plus 20, we know that age is in fact an integer, as we already stated. So this is how you process user input in C++. By the way, for those of you who are wondering what I'm using to compile the program code all the time, I'm using an extension here in Visual Studio Code called C++ Compile Run. It is by Daniel Pinto 8ZZ6. A very basic extension. You just install it and then you can press F6 to compile the code and run it. And you can press F7 to run it with some additional parameters. For those of you who are wondering what I'm using to compile all the program code here by just clicking F6. Alright, so with the knowledge we now have, we should be able to easily implement a basic addition calculator with the numbers put in by the user. So let's say we have something like int and 1 and 2. Then we say cout, actually, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, you can also go ahead and say using std cout if you just want to use std cout and not import the whole namespace std. So if you want to do that, you can do that with cout, we can do that with cin, and we can do that with endline. I'm not claiming that this is in any way best practice or something, but since we're just learning, we can use it like that. Usually I think it's best practice to just say std all the time, so to specify it separately or individually every time. But since we're just learning here, it doesn't matter too much if we're using best practices. However, we can now go ahead and just say cout, and we can say, please enter the first number, like that. And we're not going to use an end line here. And we're going to do the same thing for the second number. And in between, we're going to say cin and 1 and cin and 2. And in the end, what we're going to do is we're going to say cout sum is, or let's use an English sentence here. The sum is n1 plus n2 end line. And if we compile and run this, you can see we can enter a number here. Let's say 8 and 19, and we get 27 as a sum. So that's how you can build a basic addition, dynamic addition calculator in C++ by using user input and then a basic arithmetic operation. Now, one more little thing that we can do with the cin function here, especially when we're learning C++, is we can just wait for user input before we terminate the program. So let's say we have something like hello world, like in the first video where we did some actual code, hello world. The problem is when we go ahead and compile this here and run it, of course. Oh yeah, we need to use std again. When we just go ahead and compile this and run this, it's going to work. But as you can see, the script, the program terminated immediately. And if we go ahead and go to the desktop here where this is compiled and we run it, you can see that it opens up down in the taskbar. You can see it opens up for a second and then it's gone again because it's already terminated. You just print hello world and that's it, and you're gone. If you want to wait before you terminate for a user input, what you can do is you can say std cin.get. This essentially just waits for some user input before it proceeds with the code. And since it's not proceeding, since it's not done with everything yet that is coded inside of this program, it's going to wait and the window is not going to disappear before you click enter. So we're going to compile this here. And when we do this, of course, we need a semicolon here. When we do this, you can see that it says hello world, but it's not terminating. It's still running. When I press enter, it's done. And we can see that when we go ahead and run this executable file here, we can see hello world actually waiting for us for more input. And I can put in some stuff here and it's still not terminating. But when I click enter, it's going to terminate. And this is something that we can use in order to pause and to wait for the user to click enter before we actually terminate the script. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell to not miss a single future video. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video and